This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Welcome to Purpose Driven Sobriety. Thank you for joining the Purpose Driven Sobriety podcast. My name is Christine, and I'm an alcoholic. Today, I want to thank Miss Jennifer with MCN Microcurrent Neurofeedback. That's always a tongue twister for me. Is sponsoring this episode, and Jennifer just happens to be one of my guests today, along with Miss Courtney, who was on last week's show. And today, we're going to do purpose-driven topics. But Jen, would you like to just give us a crash course on what MCN is?
Sure.
Please.
So microcurrent neurofeedback is a type of calming device to help calm the nervous system. So sometimes we just get into a stuck or frozen state because of trauma, head trauma or chemical trauma or emotional trauma. And our nervous system is just a need to get unstuck. And so this device helps that. We've had a lot of success with people with anxiety, depression, PTSD, concussions. We're seeing a lot of success right now, and people who are getting able to get on with their lives in a positive way. Yeah.
And I can interject, and from hands-on full experience, my son has been treated by Jennifer for post-concussions and for migraines, and it is unbelievable what but one session did.
And he had an amazing response.
He really did. So
and he's a great kid too. So.
Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that. Well, thank you for sponsoring this episode. So we're going to get right in it. And I actually have been thinking about this all morning, how I was going to say this. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a little excited.
Okay.
Jennifer, you're the oldest one here.
I am.
How did you didn't think
I can drive.
You didn't think about that. You were ready for it.
Yeah. I know, because I thought I'm going to be just far enough away that she can't reach me to hit me. But I am talking in terms of sobriety. Oh. So I know, but because I still think I'm a little bit older.
Yeah, you are.
These two are sisters.
I know, right?
Yeah, we are.
Get ready.
So Jennifer, I've known for at least 20 years, pre-yummy alcoholism and after. So what is your sobriety date? Because yesterday was a special day for you.
It's my 16th anniversary.
16th?
So September 7th of 07.
That's amazing.
And it is by the grace of God.
Yeah.
It is not because of me. I did everything to try to kill myself.
Oh, no,
and
that's awesome.
And he saved me.
That's awesome.
And he brought me to a 12-step program where I found a lady to work with me, and that has been the key. Since the beginning is it's been a journey. Mm-hmm. It has not been an overnight matter, and so I still say it's one day at a time. I don't care. I feel newer all the time. It doesn't matter how much time I have. I have to maintain a level of humility in my sobriety and remember where I came from, that I can go quickly back there easily. So I've got to do way more now than I did in the begining to maintain that sobriety. So
16 years,
grateful.
one day at a time. Courtney, what's your sobriety date?
I'll be a year on Monday.
Yay!
So I'm not there yet, but by the grace of God.
September 11th.
September 11th. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yes.
And then I've got a little over 11 years, March 14, 2012.
Woo-hoo!
So Jennifer and I started this several episodes back, and I've taken topics that are in our literature with recovery and put them in the fishbowl. And so what we'll do is we'll just round robin, pick a topic, and we're just going to let the Holy Spirit lead us. And just whatever this topic means to you, some of them are kind of fun, some of them are icky, but no matter what it is, you got to take it. And then we'll just kind of share briefly what that topic means to each of us. And Jennifer, since you're the oldest here,
I'm just saying, if it's a topic already talked about, I'm going to hand it to Courtney.
Okay. I'll allow you to. Well, maybe even means something different right now.
Yeah, maybe I'm supposed to have learned something. I'm sure.
Let's see.
Willingness.
Is the throw
key.
that one away.
Yeah. Willingness is the key. we say we have to be honest. So I had to get honest first, and then open, and then willing. So willingness to me means, well, I think I had to be beaten into a state of reasonableness first. But I think I became willing because I felt like in the beginning, in the first day or two, that I didn't have any other choice. And so I either had to, accept the tools and start to use them, or I was going to drink again. And for me, it just was death. At that point, I had identified drinking with death. And by the time I came in, and so I was incredibly willing after I had my moment of clarity, willing to reach out, willing to ask for help, willing to go to my first meeting back after 12 years, willing to get a lady to help sponsor me. I still laugh at my resistance to being sponsored the way God meant for her to sponsor me, and not try to dictate to her how she should sponsor me.
Ooh, yeah, I know this person, and I know that did not go over pleasantly for you if you tried that.
It didn't. And so, I met with her the other day. We try to meet once a month or once every couple of months, and just to have lunch. And it's a beautiful thing. It was the week before my birthday, and we both just
sobriety
sat there
birthday.
And, yeah,
just
sobriety birthday, and we both just cried, and I didn't have to say a word because she knew exactly where I'd come in, how what that was like for me, and she identified with me. She still identifies with me, and that's beautiful too. But the gratitude I have for that is just overwhelming, and I can't even put into words. But I'm still willing to go to any lengths today, and so I try to step up and do the service work. I try to help others and be there for others. Answer the call when someone calls. Go up to the lady after the meeting and say, "Hey, have you? Do you have some numbers? Can I give you my number just to talk if you need to, or just ask a question, or just to know somebody's there, because it's terrifying. It's terrifying coming in. I knew AA, but I was still terrified. That shows you the level of willingness. Even though I was terrified, I still did it.
Desperation.
So it was desperation for sure.
What is willingness
That's
to you,
actually
ma'am?
exactly what I was going to say. I mean, I think at the core of the word willingness for me was will, and Courtney's will got her into the rooms because I wasn't trying to obey God's will and lean in. And yeah, I mean, I think that gift of desperation is probably what I needed to make myself willing and to surrender and to go in. But so much of it was just control for me, and controlling everything about my life that I had zero control over, and spiraling with that. So I think for willingness for me, it was also the willingness to accept what God's will was for me, and to lean into that, and to trust that process.
That's awesome. Willingness for me, it just like both of you have said, in the beginning was a necessity for me to stay alive if I wanted to stay alive. And willingness has changed for me over the past 11 and a half years, in the sense that, I'm dealing with something in my life right now that I don't have a clue what's happening. I don't know what God's plan is. And my willingness is not could be, I guess. But it's not, I don't have that gift of desperation in the, for instance, in this particular thing, but my willingness comes from history of the past 11 years and seeing what God has done when I just take my damn hands off of something. What he's able to do in my life, it's pretty exciting, and it's 1,000,000 times better than I would ever do for myself. Yeah. So my willingness has changed in that I trust now. Yeah. I trust him. I didn't trust anybody on March 14, 2012, but I realized in a split moment I didn't want to die. Right. And so the willingness was so much different than it is now, and I love both of them. I think both of them are crucial, in recovery. And I think that when you gain that trust, it's the willingness almost becomes an adventure.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, God, what you got for me now? What's happening now? Or so yeah, that's changed a lot different. Okay, Miss Courtney, your turn.
Okay.
Choose from the fishbowl.
I was going to say something too about Courtney, because I've had the advantage of watching both of you come in, and you can tell the person who's willing to go to any lengths. And Courtney was one of those people. She had her little notebook. you had your little notebook, and she was listening to everything and writing things down to remember them, and reaching out to a lot of people, calling a lot of people, and doing the work. And it's you see immediately. And I had an old timer tell me, if you maintain that level of willingness, you're going to be fine. If you just maintain that level of willingness, you're going to be fine. So that's what I've observed.
That's amazing.
You're not going to believe this. I pulled resentment, which is so funny. Because I literally in the shower this morning was just thinking of topics that often come up. And I thought, Lord, I hope I don't pull resentment.
And here you go.
Thanks, God. Let's tackle this. I think these will keep you not sober. I know this will keep you not sober. It is amazing to me to even think. I didn't even think I had resentments in my life. I don't know that I really ever understood what a resentment was. I had a lot of rationalizations about things, but actually my resentments towards things, and they weren't like surface level things, but they were things that I had to move on from, and I had to make amends about, and I had to own my part in a lot of things. And I just have always felt like, because it just comes up so often, that if it was not something that I deal with or would have dealt with or came, full throttle like I did, because I was desperate. I was going to do whatever it took. I mean, you go to 90 meetings in 90 days, I'm going 120. Like, I am. I just didn't know. I was crawling for more. So when we got to this piece, I was like, oh, this was okay until this. Like, I didn't want to do the resentment piece. But my resentments will hold me back. They still hold me back. On my day-to-day life, they'll hold me back if I don't address them and knock them out and deal with them and call my sponsor and do all the things that I know that I need to do. So, yeah, you could have just almost written my life that I was going to pull that, of course. It's just like.
Okay, so resentment for me, justified your I like how you put that. What I can, looking back, right? And of course, you're still doing the maintenance for staying sober. You still have to, because we pop resentments in a heartbeat, right?
Right.
But I'm talking about it early on in sobriety. I couldn't give away what I didn't have, meaning I didn't have grace for myself.
Yeah.
I had such a resentment towards myself it's, I didn't know how to forgive you for what you did to me, because I didn't even know how to forgive myself. So that took a lot of work with my sponsor and myself. And when I was able to come to almost a place of gratitude for all of the things that had happened in my life. I came to a point of a sense of gratitude. Then the resentment came a little bit easier, knowing that, that I got to where I was because of everything that had happened in my life. And so to have an appreciation for that was a little bit easier to get on the forgiving bandwagon as far as resentments goes.
And you know what else? I want to add one more thing, because it just keeps coming up lately. I think I had to understand forgiveness. I didn't understand what forgiveness looked like. I didn't understand that forgiveness didn't mean necessarily being okay with what
that you
happened.
let them off the hook.
Right. And for me, there's a little bit of the biblical forgiveness I had to kind of learn for my own faith too. But I really, in order to deal with my resentments, I had to understand forgiveness first.
Well, because we're taught early on that resentments are basically a key to a prison that we're holding
Bondage.
while we're inside of it with the door locked, and we're
Yeah.
going, let me out. It's forgiveness, and
That's it.
that you're right. That concept of forgiveness is not for that other person. It's like, wait a minute, because you can forgive someone and you don't even have to tell them that, right? And that's just so weird. You hear forgiveness, you think it's forgive and forget. You rolls off people's tongue, forgive and forget, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
You don't forget.
Exactly.
You can move past it and not it be a front and center memory or something you harp on. But so anyway, what is resentment for you, Jennifer?
Well, I think you touched on it. It's the bondage, and I think I thought of resentment as anger, and I didn't even know I was angry. And then I discovered that I had a lot of fear based on that help fuel the resentment. Again, fear of not getting what I want or fear of something being taken away from me, and people not behaving in a manner that I think they should. And what I didn't really get, and I think I've said this before, but what I really didn't understand was how much in bondage I was, because I kept relying on other people for my happiness. And so like we have that whole thing where it's like if you're disturbed, there's something wrong with you. And that has been my mantra, and I've come to like relearn that on a whole new level, and I guess I'm going to keep having to relearn it, because I, by nature and my alcoholism, my disease, I want you to fix me. I want it to fix me. I want the picture to fix me. I don't want to feel bad ever. I don't like to feel uncomfortable. So if you do what I want you to do and you say what I want you to say, then that's going to make me happy. And I didn't realize my whole life had been built on those expectations until further along in sobriety.
Well, and along with what you were just saying, it just occurred to me, that's where blame comes in.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you've not met my expectations, I'm blaming you for the outcome, and thus what comes of that?
Well,
resentment.
And I build that around the rationalizations you were talking about, where it's like
rationalize.
Yeah, rationalize.
Right.
And so it's like, well, you should be, because that's the decent and honest thing to do, but you're not doing it. And so, I had somebody bust me the other day, a friend who's not even, in the program, and she's like, why don't you quit being manipulative and just say what you want or need? And I went, what?
Whoa.
I was like, huh? And she busted me. I was like, you're right, I am. But I've also learned through doing those steps 4 through 9 that it's easier to identify it and to go, whoa, you're right. Instead of defend. If there's a defense there, I'm guilty.
I do feel like you're saying, I think I react a lot quicker than I used to. There's no grudges being held. Now, granted, I'm still not in the I need to promptly take care of this. I'm getting there. But there sometimes can be a couple days in there if you want to ask my husband, little things. But I think it's moving forward in that. Absolutely.
Cool. Okay.
Pull it, sis.
My turn.
Oh, is it your
Nope,
turn?
it's
Sorry.
my turn.
Good.
Oh, please be a good one. Please be a good one.
I already got the.
Please be a good
Yeah.
one.
You got yours out the way?
Ew. Intolerance.
Oh, okay.
We don't like these. We need to take all the icky ones out of here. Intolerance.
I said.
Wow. That's a thing. I would like to think I'm not intolerant, but that would be an absolute bald-faced lie. I am. And it comes immediately because I think there's a certain way. Nay. I know there's a certain way certain things should be done. And when they're not done, you're dumb and you messed up. And that makes me intolerant of you being dumb. So that's a bad thing. I mean, that intolerance, what is it? Love and tolerance is our code. Ugh. I know, right? Did you choke on that one?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I can be tolerant to the moon and back of you people right there, of people in the rooms. I can tolerate the hell out of them.
Oh, yeah.
Without a problem, without one. I actually feel bad for them.
It's a character
I'm
defect.
all
Pray
that.
for them.
Talk
bless.
to your sponsor. But
right.
you put me outside of this room with the earthlings out there, the normal people, air quote, and I don't have any tolerance whatsoever. So what is that about? You know, it's really ironic how I would just as soon deal with another alcoholic addict than deal with an earthling that, you know, doesn't have this situation going for them. That's not a good thing. So tell me about your intolerance, Jennifer.
I don't have any. I'm tolerant of all people. No, I think the family is hard. And early on, people would say, if you would just treat your family like you treat the newcomer. And I'd be like, okay. Because I have a lot of tolerance. We've had so many meetings where drunk people walk in. You know, I mean, that's what we do. You know, I've had my first week back in AA, in 12-step program. There's a guy that just showed up at our meeting, walked in middle of the meeting, and just started rambling. He was apparently drunk, rambling on about how AA didn't work and, you know, all of that. And we just sat there and watched him. And when he was done, he left. And we just went back to our meeting. Right. You know, and it was like, what? That's tolerance. That's like, understand that's where they're coming from because we were there. We get it. You know, that's where we are. You know, we're irrational and out of our heads. And we're going to do things like that. And so nobody said anything. And I was dumbfounded. And that was probably the best example for me of how I need to be with my family, you know, because I have the patience of Job with the other alcoholic.
Yeah, see, but I want to tell them. I want to tell them that I'm being tolerant of that.
Yeah, you want credit?
You need the credit.
I just want you to know that
you know,
I know
our
that you're
sponsor-
spiritually sick.
Our sponsor always says, let them off the hook. Let them off the hook. Let them off the hook. And I'm like, I don't do that very well.
I could teach them a lesson.
I have to have a lot of practice in that. Let them off the. You know, why wouldn't I expect somebody to be human? Why wouldn't I? You know, like they are human, and not everybody's going to have the same journey as me. Everybody's coming from different experiences, and I can learn from that. And so I try. That's that. You know, that whole Herbert Spencer quote in the back that says contempt prior to investigation. It's like, God, what do I need to learn today? What are you trying to teach me with this? You know, so
instead of why me.
Yeah, so why me? It's the difference between being an active person who shows up in my sobriety every day and being a victim of everybody else. I mean, it's kind of a clear line for me, you know, so. Now, I don't practice that 100% at home. I mean, my husband will tell you, you know, my kids will tell you, you know, but I really, I catch myself, like you were talking about, Courtney, sooner, you know, so, and I know how to you know, I know what to do now.
How to back it up.
Yeah.
How about you, Miss Courtney?
I mean, I was going to say the same thing. I think sometimes I can give more grace to people that walk in the doors than I can give to my own family. I think I'm more tolerant with my friends than I am my own family. And, you know, it's something that was said a long time ago, but the last year for me, I haven't been here a long time. You know, everything's really fresh with my family still. And why I can't give them some grace to understand that they have been through a lot because of me, and how I can't show tolerance to them. It's hard for them to understand when, I can with people that are in the program or people that I'm working with or whatever it is. So I think that I may be, and I heard a friend say this one time, I may be the only walking big book or person in sobriety that some people ever meet. And how I act out there, my tolerance and how I am perceived by others from that standpoint could be a make or break. Like, if that's what sobriety looks like, I don't want that. Or can I come home and my family go, that's what sobriety looks like? I'm seeing that in the walls of my home. I'm seeing mom do this with others, but I'm also seeing her do it at home with me or with my husband or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's some grace there that's just got to be given to everybody. And, I think my dad had said a long time ago, I would get real intolerant of silly things around the house, but just because how I do things or I like things or what I do on my quote day off or whatever doesn't mean that's what everybody else does on those situations or, just whatever. But I think I have also with that word patience, I have a lot more patience with others that I am helping and not the whole world that's also around me.
Right.
Well, and I think that intolerance can be directly tied to perfectionism. Expecting
Which is
me,
big in recovery.
Expectations get me in
Especially
all
for
kinds of
ourselves,
trouble.
yeah.
Perfectionism is. I kind of knew I was a perfectionist, but I've learned to let a lot of things go that I used to value or used to hold close, and I've been able to just let them go. It's like, okay, it's not that way.
That's a topic in
What,
here.
perfectionism?
Yeah. So go ahead and draw. You're up. Let's see what you get.
I'll probably get fear again. Oh, selfishness.
Right?
Yeah.
They're down at the bottom. As usual.
We must be needing
check.
to hear something today.
I have this still selfishness. I think it takes. That's where the we part comes in. It takes other people outside of me to point that out. It baffles me. It's like I'm a teacher. I have degrees and initials,
Which is one of the least selfish occupations in my
right?
book.
Yeah, I'm totally selfless and thinking of others and whatever. And even in that, I've found that I've been selfish. I wanted to be queen of dyslexia. My husband made me a crown. He went to Dollar Tree and wrote "Princess of Dyslexia" on it.
Goodness.
I'm like, why am I not the queen?
That's called enabling.
We all seem to have one of those in our houses.
So I think he thought it was funny, but I didn't. I was taking it very seriously.
It was awesome.
So, selfishness is the root, right? It's the root of my problem, and kind of what we were talking about with intolerance too. I don't know. I don't have a lot to add other than I am. I still am. That's wanting things the way that I want them. That's what selfishness is to me. So yeah.
Well, I've got this little selfishness down. I've got this is me. So I've got this down. So from a little bit devil's advocate standpoint, the one thing that I did have to learn, and it was a little selfish, is that in order for me to get sober, I had to make it a priority. And I had to get a little selfish about some things because I had to make it a priority. I had to kind of, at the beginning, put other things a little bit on the back burner and become more selfishly involved with myself, which I know was very difficult for my family to see in the beginning because they weren't seeing a whole lot of me. But I know that if I am not sober, I'm no good for them.
Do you think that's selfishness or self-care?
I don't know. And that might be I feel like I think my family may look at it like I'm being selfish, where I am looking at maybe like it's more self-care. Yeah, I know I am a selfish person.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in here for a reason. Come on. So it's not surprising when someone tells me that I'm selfish or I'm acting selfish or I'm acting like a spoiled brat or whatever stuff I'm doing. But yeah, I guess I've struggled with that. Maybe it is self-care that I need to try to think more of myself as a self-care because I did, and maybe that was the problem. I wasn't doing enough self-care initially, and so I feel selfish when I do maybe go to an event or a meeting or I have something.
I felt guilty.
I do feel some guilty. I feel some guilt for sure.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head. It's how they perceive. Because it was the same thing for me early on in sobriety. Because if we don't, we have to put ourselves first. And I love how in recovery we talk about the analogy of if you're on an airplane and the flight attendant is doing their instructions, before the flight takes off, and they're talking about the oxygen mask coming down. What's the instruction that you're given? What's the first thing you do?
Right.
You put it on yourself.
So you can help
because you're right. If you don't do that, the kid that's sitting next to you is going to die because you're not able to help them. So it's the same thing. I didn't realize that. I was told that. Okay, another saying. But it's true because I'm no good for anyone else if I'm not good for myself.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit of both self-care and selfish is a derogatory in it idea. When you hear you're being selfish, I mean that automatically means a negative thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that my family kind of saw that a little bit as selfish too. It's like all you're doing is focusing on you, and it's like, well, but I'm the problem, so kind of that's what I need to.
Right. And I think I mentioned the other day that when this whole thing changed for me, when I'd given up my home and my family and my kids and said I'm going to go somewhere kind of dry up and I remember, I can remember the wall I was staring at the night that I got into bed and thought, you've just left this behind. You better focus on yourself and get with it, because I felt like I had one chance left. So I dove in, but yeah, it's such a derogatory word.
But I'll say this and then we'll move on. Now, if one of you or someone in the program were to look at me and go, if I were to share a situation or a problem, and you were to say, are you perhaps maybe being selfish here?
Correct.
I would not want to claw your eyeballs out. Now, if my husband said that to me,
Agreed.
we're on an episode of
Or
Snapped.
maybe you need to go to a meeting.
Right? Oh,
Snapped. Don't
yeah.
even
I really
say that to
hate when
me.
I'm told to go to a meeting by my family.
Yeah, better not.
Yeah.
And in 1 year though, how crazy that it went from you're gone all the time to you need to go to a meeting.
Right.
Like, oh.
Have you called your sponsor?
Oh gosh, I get that all the time.
Yes.
Lord
Yes.
almighty.
Mine still says that.
From all of them. In my
So annoying. Okay,
Okay.
Your turn, Courtney.
happy,
Happy,
joy,
happy,
joy,
Yes.
positive, self-pity. Really.
What is going on here? I promise there are
Self-pity.
positive topics.
Well, maybe this is just what we need to talk about. This is the biggest thing I struggle with the most. I do a lot of feeling sorry for myself, I think. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants this, right? I'm proud to be an alcoholic. I'm grateful to be an alcoholic, but I didn't want it. And I still do a lot of the self-pity, but I think a lot of the self-pity is what got me here. And it's I don't know if it's I don't have this, or I'm not doing this, or I'm not good enough at this. Maybe some perfectionism, maybe trying to keep up with the Joneses that I didn't even know what was going on inside their house because it looked real pretty, like mine did. But yeah, I wallow in this stuff, and there's zero room for it in my life. Like, if I'm going to continue on this path, like, I've got to get rid of this.
Right.
I have to. This, to me, is more dangerous, is worse than selfishness, is this self-pity. It rules me if I let it.
Well, because I think along with self-pity, when, if you're being in self-pity and selfish, you're looking for someone to blame for the situation.
Absolutely.
Which comes to resentment. Right, it's how that strange little spider web is all weaved together. But yeah, self-pity. I'm better. 11 and a half years later,
Right.
I'm better at coming out of that, and it just usually will involve gratitude. If I can throw gratitude onto something, it neutralizes it.
And isn't that amazing how that works?
Immediately. Yeah, you cannot feel gratitude and self-pity within the same house. Gratitude walks in the front door, self-pity walks out.
Absolutely.
Or fear or anger or so
And it's such a good example. I know for me, I have a younger child and an older one, but I think for them to see, or for me to hear, well, so-and-so got this, and I'm like, gosh, isn't it so nice that we live in this home with this food? It's such a good example for them to see me try to take the self-pity out of my life and show the gratitude more too.
Right. How about you, Jennifer?
Oh gosh, I still have it. I was in it yesterday, actually. So it's a work in progress. And here's the thing: is all these character defects haven't been fully removed. They come back.
Right.
They come back. And so, do I have an answer? Yes. So, it usually involves me and God, getting alone with God and being grateful. And I read something the other day about, we talk about grace, God giving us grace and blessings and whatever. But then there's that concept of mercy. Like, we don't even know what he has protected us from. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, I think I'm pretty grateful most of the time for all the blessings I have and all the grace he's shown me. But like, to think about what I truly could have gotten that I didn't get, that's his mercy. And I'm like, that opened up a whole other spiritual realm for me, that fourth dimension, where it's like I am way more grateful than I was before, which seems, not possible. But self-pity can creep in. And usually it's about what people think of me. Like, are they thinking of me? Are they, acknowledging me? Am I getting my just desserts? That kind of a thing. Or I worked really hard for that. Why didn't they respond the way that they should have? That kind of a thing. But I do think the answer is gratitude, but it's a gratitude on a whole different level now than it used to be. So, I keep thinking of everyone that has it worse off, just hearing about a client's wife who has ovarian cancer this morning, and it's like, nothing I'm going through is life-threatening. Nothing I'm going through is life-threatening. In fact, I have a good heart. I just got the sign off on the cardiologist. I have a good heart, no calcium, but I know that people are struggling. I see them around me and hear about them daily, and it's, that could be me. We all have our thing. But
I love that you mentioned mercy, grace and mercy, grace. And I like to like visualize, when I get to heaven, God looking at things, it's like saying, this is all the things that I protected you from. And I could see how I avoided that head-on collision, or how I avoided the this or that. But on the flip side, he does a Vanna White going, look what you could have had you only trusted me.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I know, right? Ew. Okay, my turn.
You go.
Okay. Good one. Go whammy. Go whammy. No whammies. Oh, crap. Aloneness.
We talked about that last time. Go ahead, Courtney.
Aloneness. I can feel alone in a room full of people. Full of people that I know. I don't feel alone in a recovery room ever. But you put me in a business situation or a marketing, whatever, even with my family, quite frankly, sometimes. Just because I feel that terminal uniqueness to where nobody knows how I feel. And I do this to myself. And the solution is getting out of self and, looking for someone you can help.
I mean, there's nothing else I could have said. That literally, I was going to say, it's amazing to me how I always feel like I belong when I walk into a room of people like me, like us. And then I can literally feel isolated and alone in a group of 100 people that I've known forever. It's just really weird. Yeah.
Lonely and aloneness. That's, so aloneness is, I don't know. Is that different from loneliness? Feeling lonely?
I don't think so.
Okay. Because I have if I'm in the right mood or wrong kind of mood, I can walk into a meeting and put myself separate from and listen to all the things that are different. Well, I didn't have that happen to me. That was one of my biggest issues early on in the program, is that I could not identify. Because I wasn't looking for. I would not because I wasn't looking for what the real message was, and listening for the similarities. So yeah, I can feel alone a lot, but I will say this: since I did my third step, the first time back with my sponsor, there's a sense of belonging or unity that I got with God that has never really left me. And where it really was the missing piece, that spiritual component. And I don't really have to sit in that very long because I know what the answer is. So yeah, I have felt alone when when I'm being rebellious and obstinate. I can still feel that way, you know.
I
But
think it's the whole footprints in the sand, right? Like, where were you? Where were you? There's one set. I was so alone, and I wasn't.
And what
I
he's
was being caring.
for sure,
Right.
for sure.
Okay, Jen, you're up.
Okay.
Peace, serenity, one of those. Friends.
Oh, there's a good one. Yay.
Oh, I'm grateful. This is one of the things I'm so
Friendship.
grateful for, you know, and like, I think we talked about that last time too, but like having friendships as a result of the program, having friends in the program, lifelong friends. I mean, we all kind of were on the front lines together, and this is a matter of life or death. And I have some really great friends out of the program who hold my feet to the fire, and who've gone on a journey on their own. You know, maybe it wasn't with alcohol, but it's been a journey for them. And we're all kind of struggling for the same thing. It's that, relationship with that higher power or God, as you understand him. But I am so grateful for friendship, and it's funny how God I was thinking about a woman today out of the blue, and she texted me a while ago. I haven't heard from her in years. And I was like, okay, there's God. You know, I think God puts people in our path, number one, that we can identify with, but also that we can use our own experience to help them, or they can mirror back to us what we need.
Right.
And it is reciprocal. It is always reciprocal. It's never that's what I love about sponsorship now. It's like, I'm not above anybody. I'm doing the deal with you. And it really is a we thing. So anyway, friendships have saved my honey, but they've also carved out a space for me to envision my life the way that God wants best for me, and so like, there have been countless times where I've come to you, Christine, and I've talked to you about something, and you've spoken a word about your experience, and I'm like, I see the vision now. I see what it could be like if I have the right, if I work and I have the right attitude about it. So yeah, I choose friends based on where I'm going. And going back to that aloneness, I was thinking about that, the road less traveled. It does get lonelier, but not in a scary way. It's odd, the people that God has removed from my life.
Yeah.
Before I always wanted to like blame myself. Like, what did I do? Or, like feeling out of sorts or anxious about it, and a severe loss or grief about it. And I've learned that it's really sometimes God, choosing people to, go their own path, possibly, and for me to stay on mine, which is always a direct path to Him. So He's going to remove in my life what isn't good for me, and that gets in the way of my relationship with Him. And so the people that I have are the ones that, and my sponsor says that, I'm the finger that points you back to your higher power. And that's really what we do for each other. It's like, I don't have the right answer for anybody. There's no magic, answer, no word in particular.
Well,
but
and that applies to anybody,
Yeah.
not just someone else in the program.
Exactly.
Any friend that
I
you
don't
have.
I don't have the answer. All I know is that God does. He's going to reveal it to you. You just got to ask Him. You got to be willing to give it up, and ask Him and seek. So,
What's friendship to you, Miss Courtney?
I've got about, I don't even know, dozens of new friends this year that I never even knew I needed, never even knew I wanted. And it's kind of a joke in my house because everybody's heard the story. Like, I started college at 17, 12 hours away from home in a new state. I mean, I'd been to Europe and I hadn't been to Texas. Like, it was just kind of one of those things, different culture. My friends were my family. I mean, they still are my family. And I mean, truth be just in the passing of my brother, I mean, I think I had like 8 or 9 different states that had people that had flown in, like friends that are just spread everywhere that have remained family to me. And there are friendships in this program. I was like, I'm going to do the damn thing. I'll be Courtney and I'll go and I'll come back and I'll leave. And I never knew, like, I like these people. Like, I really love and like a lot of these people. I've learned from all of them. They're all different characters. But, I mean, I'm going to tell you that there's a friend in the program. I mean, when my brother died, those are the people I called that morning. I mean, Jennifer was on the phone with me. I don't even know how long. 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I mean, those are the people I called. And when I got off the elevator with my brother's son, after finally seeing his body and saying goodbye, the phone rang, and it was a new friend from the program that I'm in. I mean, those friendships to me, I mean, taking everything else out of it, just at the core of what they are, I didn't really know what friends look like. I have some really amazing friends outside of this program. Don't get me wrong. We go through hell or high water together. It's amazing how we've all stuck together over the years. Our husbands get along. It's just crazy. But the friendships that I found in these rooms really feel like family. And I think there's just no judgment at all in these people. Like, at the core of their hearts, I mean, when they say we're willing to do anything, I felt like the first day I walked in, they were willing to do anything. Like, if I want to fight, they're going to go to battle with me. They're going to help me do this thing. So, I mean, friends, you can ask about anybody I know. I almost prioritize my friends more than I should sometimes. People are just special to me. I'm a people person. So.
Well, and I love how you put that, Courtney. You know, I had never really had, I don't believe, a true soul-to-soul connection friendship until I came into the program. I'm talking about a soul-to-soul connection. Well, there's no bullshit clouding it. Nope. It's nothing but honesty and no ulterior motives. You know, I think you get an occasional jackass in a recovery room, but for the most part, what we share with each other is such raw, just guts hanging out, and I believe that's how God intended us to be on this planet. Yeah. But what's beautiful is over time, and I would be willing to bet the bank, Courtney, that you're going to experience this as well. But over time, and I know Jen has, over time, that ingredients that's in those friendships starts to kind of visit my earthling friends.
I've kind of already seen that. I almost said something, yeah.
I gave up the right to carry the big trunk with all the costumes and masks in it to be a different person here than I was here. So my friends outside of the program still get the raw, honest me. Yeah. You know, hopefully motivated by love, which is what I try, right? But I'm the same person. And so I've even had friends that will sometimes turn around that aren't in the program that will program me. You know, what I'm saying when I say program me, that talk about selfishness or something like that. I'm like, wait a minute. Have you read my book? Have you read the book? Or have you been to a meeting? Or but it's beautiful how God can use that as well to reach the other, and I keep calling them earthlings just because we are in the fourth dimension. But to reach those ones that haven't been in the program, and they get the benefit of the program as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'll have my kids and my family program me, and turn around and repeat something that I've said that's program-ish to them, and it's just like, wait a damn minute,
But that just tells you the level of spiritual hunger that people have.
Well, and how God will use all of this because, just friendships have changed definition to me. I think for friendship before the program, it was, what could you do for me?
Oh, yeah. What could you serve me to drink?
Yeah. On top of what purpose did you serve in my life?
What do you bring to me?
But what this program teaches us is we have to see what can we add to the stream of life of someone else's. Yeah. So anyway, okay, we're good on time here. Let's see. Oh, crap on a stick.
I don't even know what that is, but it's funny.
Guilt.
Oh, well.
I know. Crap on a stick. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's a thing. It's just a thing that I don't like, and I experience that a lot, because the old me is still alive and well, and will just peek her stupid head into a situation in her mouth, and I here's the deal: when I know that I have behaved selfish, and resentful and intolerant and in self, I know when I've behaved that way with another human being, and I instantly feel guilt.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I may not do anything about it, right? The way we're supposed to. I may not process it through like the program says immediately, but if I don't, it's like a cancer, and it will instantly start eating up my insides. Instantly. So we're taught the first thing we do is we call our sponsor and we fess up, you know, and then we get whatever's coming to us, you know, which I don't mean that. I do not mean that. Do not write me letters or message me. But our sponsor will give us a different way of looking at things, you know, and just go, have you thought of it this way? And usually shit no, because I'm selfish and in self-pity, and you know, so guilt, the beautiful thing is through the program we have a solution to get rid of that, because we cannot hang on to that, because it will spill over as like sludge onto other people, and we're not allowed to do that anymore. So what's guilt to you, Miss Jennifer?
Okay, that was well said. So I'm gonna pass. No,
I was saying the same thing. There's not a. I mean,
yeah, I mean, like people.
we all have it. Yeah.
I've been rude to the lady on the phone who calls me, you know, for to solicit something, or you know, and then I call her back, you know, and make my amends,
Sorry.
you know, because I don't want to carry that around. I've walked around the building at work and picked up trash because I, you know, it's like I can't let stuff just sit there. I have to, you know, it's like.
When you know better, you have to.
You have to do better.
Or, well,
And,
you don't
yeah.
have to, but you're.
You'll pay for it if you have the consequence of it. So like clearing away the wreckage of my past, I don't have any remorse or guilt left over from that. But I also didn't have kids at the time. I didn't have my kid till 3 years sober. But there's always the mom guilt that everybody has. But I try to keep current. I think there's some things that I'm guilty of that I don't even know that I'm guilty of, to be honest. And I think that doing an inventory and asking God to, you know, talking to another alcoholic and asking God to show me, you know, what was the right thing to do? What should I have done instead? You know, and He will reveal to me if I am guilty of something. He will clearly point it out to me. Like, oh no. So.
I'm just making sentences with these words. If we want to talk about my guilt, I have so much mom guilt. And, you know, a lot of the guilt became because of my selfish behavior, because I was loathing in my self-pity, and I wasn't willing, because I was holding on to resentments I didn't want to let go of. It's all there. It's every one of these. And you know what? I don't do any good living in my guilt and my shame. It's there for sure. I've raised kids and put them through hell, you know, and my husband and all the things. And I don't, like it says, I don't want to shut the door on it. I need to be able to go back there. I needed to be able to see, to be able to get better, I guess. I need to have it there, but it doesn't do me any good. I can't go forward holding on to all this guilt and shame and stuff. So.
And nothing's wasted. You know, it's like anything that I've been through that I have caused pain for somebody else, or fear or insecurity or whatever, it's not gotten wasted. I mean, He's used that in some other way to help somebody else. You know, when I had my daughter, you know, I was a wreck, and I was like, I don't even know, how am I going to raise this kid? You know, here I am, you know, selfish, self-pity, you know, whatever, alcoholic. And somebody said to me in a meeting, you're probably right. You're probably not good enough to be her mother, but God chose you, you know? And so, and
if He chose you, who are you to say that you're not good
right.
enough?
And it's like, okay, now I see God work, like there's nobody better than me to raise my daughter, because I've been down that road, you know, and now I have the tools to help her,
to share
so we
with
can
her.
break that cycle. And it's like, it's not about avoiding the pain and the disaster. It's about using the tools to get through that and to learn from it and then to help somebody else. So
Well, and with Josie, it's to, wherever your faith is or your belief is, breaking those generational curses,
Absolutely.
so that this doesn't perhaps have to go on.
we didn't have that.
Sharing,
We didn't
right?
have any of it. I mean, like I grew up and it was like go play outside until it's dark. I mean, like we snuck out of the house at night to rap houses. And I mean, it just like. I got my head hit, probably suffered a concussion. They didn't take me to the hospital. It's just
But even more than that, no one sat,
know?
probably no one sat down and talked to you about resentment
No.
or gratitude or, anything like that is life skills, for God's sake.
Or that
literally.
or that God can take this lump of crap and turn it into gold.
You don't have to stop
Watch
carrying
him.
it around.
Watch
Yeah.
him. I didn't have that. And she does. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So.
Okay, you chose first. Why don't you choose last?
Can I, if I see it, can I pick it?
Yes.
No,
We're alcoholics and we
don't cheat. Jennifer, because you're working an honest program. Jennifer?
Oh, it's right there.
Yeah,
That's kind of a neutral sanity.
You ain't got none, so put it back. No, go ahead.
That's a good close.
She really wants me
I know
to
she
do
Go
it.
ahead. Yeah, tell me what you got on sanity, because I know you.
Yeah. Sanity will return. There was a lot of insanity around alcohol in my life. Just doing things that I was not proud of, being with people, because of, fueled by my alcoholism. Just the way that I was living, and I was so lost. I didn't even know who I was anymore. It was like an insane person had shown up, and but sanity for me is that coming to believe, right, that God can restore, and He will if we do all the necessary steps, and trust Him. So I try not to let my feelings determine my sanity, if that makes sense. So like my behavior determines my sanity. So even if I feel wackadoodle is a word we use, but even if I feel that way, I don't have to act on it today. And I know that they're just feelings, and that doesn't make me insane. Even if, there have been moments where I feel insane, but then it's like, wait a second, but what are you doing? What are you doing? And you're picking up the phone and you're calling somebody to talk about it. That's sane. That's sanity. I didn't even know to do that. I really didn't. It's like I lost the toolbox, the toolkit that I learned the first time around. And so using each of those tools, prayer, meditation, my therapist told me to go back to meditating because I had stopped doing it, and you know what, it works. It's just like, why am I amazed that tools work? But I feel calmer, I feel less reactive when I meditate, and I also feel more grateful and connected. So sanity doesn't have to do with my emotional state, because that's where I acted out of everything before.
Right.
So that's all I got.
I'm just insane. I don't know that. I do.
Well, you're in the right place.
Well, girl, I still I do stuff sometimes. I'm like, you're bananas. You are just absolutely. But it's the insanity behind the idea that I thought alcohol could be my solution to every one of my problems. I don't think there's a better definition. Who the hell goes out and thinks that is going to be a solution to your problem? Yeah.
We're all raising our hands for those of you that are
so
just
it is insane. There is an amount of sanity.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I was just living and thriving on it too. I think the insanity was so off the chains all the time. What I was justifying, rationalizing, doing in my head, all these scenarios, it was just chaos upstairs in my head. And it's just nice. I'm not saying I'm not insane, because I'm crazy. But I think it is it's calmed down my mind. And that's that meditation thing. I have to work at it. I can go there quick if I want to spiral, but I think I've had some sane moments. I feel like I've had situations that I've been able to not act insane in. My brother's death being one of them. I should have been insane during all of that, but I didn't.
You should have been
But I
drunk.
leaned into the right thing that time, and I leaned into God, and I didn't lean into the alcohol. And God is showing me what sanity looks like. So.
Yeah, sanity. That's a. I too am still insane, and it's funny talking about friends outside of the program. We are blessed to have a sponsor, a person that we can check ourselves with, and I suggest to all of my friends, when we have honest conversations, you need a spiritual partner.
Yeah.
You need not your husband, not your not a family. You need someone who you can just check yourself with, who you've given authority to say the truth to you, right,
Absolutely.
without consequence. So I have a lot of listeners that aren't in the program. You should have a spiritual partner and literally have that conversation. Will you tell me when I'm crazy, and I can tell you when you're crazy, and we don't get mad at each other? Can we make that agreement, shake on it, okay, and it's done? But for us in the program, even now, so many years later, I still will have a thought, and I'll call my sponsor and go, here's what I'm thinking. Is that true?
Right.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And guess what? Most of the time, it's not true.
No.
Yeah.
And just with her saying, I don't think that's true, then instantly, when the world, which is my head, is so loud that I can't hear God's voice, I can hear hers.
Yeah. He
I
uses
can
her.
hear someone else that I trust in the program to go, yeah, have you thought of it this way? And then just all of a sudden, I have a revelation, but it's one of those things where just I'm able to see, oh crap, that's not true. And I just go on about my life. But if I don't check that, Katie barred the door, because there's going to be victims in the road, and wreckage behind me that I'm going to have to clean up, so the sanity, and I'm okay with not being sane. I'm totally okay
totally
with it.
fine with it.
I'm okay with it. As long as I'm doing the deal and
Right.
working the program, right? Because I'll know it, because I'll talk all of my people will have all of these negative things and resentment towards me, right? When I'm not acting in truth. So sanity, it eludes me,
Wow.
but I seek it every day, and start my day with the foundation of just trying to, just like Jen said, act as if,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank y'all for being
Hey,
here.
thanks for
I
having
want to
us.
say one more thing.
Sure.
I just keep thinking about it, so I need to say it. I just think it's so badass that we can have 3 professional women in Central Texas sitting down talking about something that has been stigmatized for so long.
It's lies. They're all lies.
We
right?
are women in this room, professionals with families and husbands and jobs
Careers.
and careers, and we're able to have a place and a freedom to come and put this platform
Just
out.
be
And I thank
honest.
you for that.
Oh, my pleasure.
Absolutely.
Just to be honest, because like I said, even the people that aren't in the program are still feeling all of these things
things.
that
Oh,
we
yeah.
have laid out on the table. Every
Yep.
human being feels that.
Yeah.
But we're just blessed, right, to have a solution to help us get through those. So thank you, Jennifer, for sponsoring this
Hey, thanks
episode.
for having me.
We will do this again sometime soon. Thank you for joining Purpose Driven Sobriety, the podcast. I'm Christine. I'm an alcoholic. Thanks for listening to Purpose Driven Sobriety. Keep coming back.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.